And the first person I'd like to invite, Verl, if you'd come up to speak on the stage. VerleWiita is the pilot of the Cirrus aircraft that pulled the parachute over Gaithersburg, Maryland. He's a dentist. He's an occasional flyer. He got into a situation departing from Gaithersburg, Maryland in IMC. He got up into the clouds and the door popped open. And that was a cold, rainy morning, and he was quite discomforted by that. And as he was worried about flying in the special flight rules area around Washington, getting his flight plan going, he got into a spatial disorientation and recognized he was in great trouble. So, Verl, with that introduction, can you describe a little bit about the decision process that went through your mind?
Well, I had the spatial disorientation. I reached over to close the door. Okay. My first thought was, what was that noise? And I looked over and the door was open. And when I did that, I was just entering the clouds. And I was probably just at the end of the runway. I still was in the airport environment. I could see down, but I was entering the clouds. And so I thought, well, I'll just reach over and see if I can close the door. Of course you can't. And so I thought, well, let me get on course here, and I'm going to have to stop someplace and find a place to land. And when I went back to the instruments, I'm looking, and I'm in a graveyard spiral. Well, I had been in that in my training before, and so I was able to get out of that. And so I then thought, well, I better get up to altitude. So I went up, and I was getting up to, I remember 2,500 feet. I was supposed to go to 3,000 feet. I had not contacted departure yet. I was in a untowered airport and IMC conditions, and had a 10-minute window to contact departure, but I hadn't done that yet, and so that was on my mind. And as I was climbing to 2,000 feet, I noticed that the engine was, how it sounds when you're going into a stall situation, and so I was able to correct for that. And so now I'm way off course, so I turned towards the east where I was supposed to, at the end of the airport when I was going to go on course. It's maybe a 20-degree turn to the east. Well, I thought I was going runway heading. Actually, in my spatial disorientation, I was actually going to the left, so I was over to the west of the airport. So I turned to the east, and now I'm off course. So I turned on from the engine page to the flight plan page, and thought, well, okay, let me get on course, and then I contact departure and so forth. And as I was zeroing in the flight page to computer, I was out of the clouds. Now, if the clouds were at a higher level at that point, or I had come down, I don't remember. So I thought, well, shoot, I'm out of the clouds. I'm just going right back to the airport and close this door. And so I turned to the airport, and I probably reduced the speed, thinking it'll give me a little more time to find the airport and so forth. At that point, I noticed the airspeed was going from 95 to 90. So I increased the throttle to 95 knots, and I looked to my right for the airport, thinking it was right there, and of course I didn't see it because it was to my left. But I had the flight page plan on, so I turned the map page on to find out where the airport was. And as I was zeroing in on the range to find the airport, it went into a stall. And that was maybe a half a second from straight and level. I was scud running, and the clouds were lower than this roof. They were right here. So I know I wasn't going up, and I was going straight, but I don't know what my speed was, and I don't know what my altitude was at that point. But when this happens, I mean, it happens like right now. And I spun like 90 degrees, and I'm looking into somebody's backyard. And I remember the fence and the garage, and everything was right straight down. And I hit the blue button, thinking, okay, I'm gonna correct for this stall thing. You know, I had started to correct, but I think, okay, might as well use this blue button. And but almost just as quickly, I says, I'm too low to see if this is going to work. So I really didn't even wait any longer. I just pulled the caps.
And when we were talking about this, Verl, you described some of the reasons you changed your idea about when the altitude that a caps pull would be viable.
Yes. You can't decide at the time these things are happening because there are so many things going through your mind. I mean, you're thinking of just all kinds of things and, you know, where you should be and what you should be doing and so forth. About 6 months before that, I was lurking on the COPA website, and there was a discussion as to when you would pull the caps. And really, that was the time that I decided to pull the caps, even though it happened several months later. And the discussion there was, even if you're below 1,500 feet, pull the caps, and you know, you're going to be better off than if you don't. And it might not be enough, but it might be enough. When I took off, I do not remember the AWAS. Later on, I read that somebody had said it was 400 feet. In my briefing, it was 800 feet. Actually, I think it was a little higher than that. I think when I came out of the clouds, I think it was the clouds had cleared just a little bit. So I'm not sure what my altitude was. I really was so busy I didn't have time to be worrying about that. And so I just pulled the caps because of that discussion that had been going on.
So the COPA forum
the COPA, yeah.
changed your decision.
Well, no, I always thought I would use it, but that changed my decision as to when I would
When you would use it.